General Hospital will reveal Laura Wright, the veteran actress who portrays Carly on General Hospital, has long been a cornerstone of the show and a beloved figure in the fictional town of Port Charles. With her powerful performances, piercing gaze, and nuanced emotional expression, Laura has captured the hearts of viewers for years. Her role as Carly Spencer is not merely a character in the script, she has become the living spirit of the series. Appearing in nearly every major storyline, she shapes intricate relationships, drives dramatic twists, and anchors some of the show's most emotional climaxes. Therefore, her sudden absence from several recent episodes came as a shock to fans and raised many pressing questions. In recent episodes, viewers began to notice a strange shift. Carly was no longer as active as she used to be. Where she once stood confidently, paced across rooms, and directly confronted others, she was now frequently seen seated, particularly on a bar stool in her kitchen. This abrupt change did not go unnoticed by the show's loyal audience, who are well versed in Carly's typically commanding physical presence and dynamic energy. The initial explanation provided for this change was a knee injury sustained by Laura Wright while playing pickleball, a fast-growing sport in the United States. In an interview with Soap Opera Digest, Laura shared that the injury occurred during a singles match, as she lunged forward and made a sudden pivot. Her knee dislocated briefly and then snapped back into place. Because there was no significant swelling and only minor pain, she believed it was nothing serious. After applying ice and wearing a brace, she resumed her routine, seemingly unaffected, at least for a short time. However, the situation quickly escalated when she returned to the set. During a seemingly simple scene in Carly's kitchen, merely rising from a seat and walking, her knee dislocated again. This recurrence forced her to remain seated for the duration of her scenes, a limitation that continued across multiple episodes. The production team adjusted the staging accordingly, changing camera angles and blocking to accommodate her limited mobility. This explains why Carly has been seen confined to a stool, a detail that now stands out starkly against her traditionally active demeanor. But behind this seemingly harmless explanation, a wave of quiet speculation began to build among General Hospital's longtime fanbase. A portion of the audience, known for their sharp attention to behind-the-scenes activity, began to suspect that the pickleball injury might not be the full truth. Gradually, whispers from unnamed sources, rumored to be insiders from the set, began to paint a different picture. According to one such anonymous crew member, Laura Wright's knee injury did not result from a casual game of pickleball, but rather from an altercation with a fellow cast member. The incident allegedly took place off-camera, outside of regular filming hours, during a heated argument. Tensions reportedly flared, words were exchanged, and in a moment of physical confrontation, Laura was pushed, resulting in her injury. While the identity of the actor involved remains undisclosed, the aftermath was handled swiftly and discreetly by General Hospital's leadership. Any trace of the altercation was reportedly locked down, and those present were instructed to remain silent to prevent damage to the show's public image and internal cohesion. Immediately following the incident, GH executives allegedly crafted the sports-related injury narrative as a cover story to deflect attention and maintain calm among viewers. In a controlled public relations move, the details of Laura's pickleball mishap were released to the press, and adjustments were made on-screen to support the story, namely, the frequent use of the barstool in Carly's kitchen scenes. However, in today's age of social media and digital sleuths, keeping such a serious backstage incident under wraps is nearly impossible. Observant fans grew increasingly skeptical. They questioned why Carly had suddenly become so physically restricted, why no official statement had been made about Laura's health, and why the show didn't simply write her out temporarily to allow for real recovery. Though General Hospital has yet to release any official clarification or acknowledgement beyond the initial statement, their prolonged silence has only fueled more speculation. What the public currently knows may only be the tip of the iceberg. Could the truth eventually come to light? Or will this remain one of the show's most tightly guarded behind-the-scenes secrets? For now, fans can only hope that Laura Wright makes a full recovery and returns to her usual commanding presence on screen, while Carly continues to navigate the emotional minefields of Port Charles. The real drama may be unfolding far from the cameras, in the unspoken truths behind a single, mysterious injury that may never receive the full explanation it deserves. Adding to the growing wave of unease surrounding Laura Wright's unexplained injury, General Hospital's production team made a conspicuous creative decision that, instead of reassuring viewers, only served to amplify suspicion and public scrutiny. Rather than temporarily writing Carly out of the script to allow Laura time to recover in private, or transparently acknowledging the actress's need for rest, the show opted for what has now been dubbed by fans as the barstool solution. In this approach, Carly was strategically seated in nearly all of her scenes, most notably in the kitchen of her home, where she appeared anchored to a tall stool, engaging in conversations and delivering critical lines of dialogue from a fixed position. From a logistical standpoint, this may have seemed like a practical workaround. After all, a stationary character can still participate in the storyline without requiring blocking changes, physical exertion, or scene restructuring. With clever camera angles, minimal physical movement, and some narrative gymnastics, a character like Carly, who is pivotal to nearly every unfolding storyline, could continue appearing without drawing attention to the actress's physical limitations. In theory, it was a solution designed to maintain continuity and prevent disruption to the show's momentum. However, fans of General Hospital, especially longtime viewers intimately familiar with every nuance of Carly Spencer's behavior, were not easily placated. What may have passed as a casual staging choice for other characters became glaringly conspicuous in Carly's case. Carly has always been a physically assertive character, someone whose power often comes through her posture, movement, and commanding presence within a scene. She paces when agitated, gestures emphatically during arguments, and often dominates the room with her energy. Seeing her suddenly confined to a seated position, not once or twice, but across multiple episodes, sparked immediate concern. Viewers quickly began to notice that this wasn't a storytelling device or a one-off directional choice. This was clearly a sustained adjustment. Social media was flooded with posts questioning the repetitive nature of these scenes, pointing out that Carly's previously dynamic engagement had been reduced to carefully framed shots that always showed her waist up while seated. Fans began compiling comparisons between her recent appearances and older episodes, further emphasizing the sharp contrast. And instead of diffusing tension, this barstool strategy backfired. Rather than calming concerns, it became a visual reminder that something was wrong, something the show was actively choosing not to address. The mystery deepened as weeks passed with no official statement from ABC or the General Hospital press team. The absence of clarification was deafening. Loyal fans began asking pointed questions. If Laura Wright's injury was truly as minor and sport-related as she claimed in her Soap Opera Digest interview, why wasn't the production team transparent about her condition from the beginning? Why go to such great lengths to construct scenes around a stationary Carly instead of simply allowing the character a brief leave of absence? The silence from the network, combined with the ongoing decision to keep Carly on screen in a diminished capacity, created the very scenario they likely hoped to avoid, a firestorm of speculation, instead of alleviating concerns. The carefully choreographed scenes ignited a wave of rumors that have only gained traction with each passing episode. The show's attempt to maintain the illusion of normalcy instead drew even more attention to the irregularities, turning what could have been a short-lived concern into a long-term controversy. Moreover, fans began to question the ethics behind such a choice. Was Laura pressured to continue performing despite her injury? Was the truth about the incident too damaging for the production to reveal? Was the studio more focused on preserving narrative continuity than prioritizing the health and well-being of one of its longest-serving stars? These questions, once unspoken, are now being discussed widely across forums, fan pages, and podcasts. The barstool solution has become a symbol of something deeper. The audience's growing distrust in the production's transparency and its willingness to obscure the truth behind a carefully crafted veil of control. To many, the strategy felt disrespectful, not just to Laura Wright as a performer dealing with physical pain, but to the viewers themselves, who have invested decades into following these characters and their stories. What started as a technical workaround quickly evolved into a PR misstep, and possibly even a moral misjudgment. It turned the audience's protective concern for Laura into frustration with the institution that seemed determined to pretend nothing had changed. And this frustration is now boiling over into demands for accountability. Fans want clarity. They want to understand what truly happened, not vague statements, not carefully staged cover-ups. If Laura needs rest, they support her stepping away. If something more serious occurred behind the scenes, they deserve to know, because trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. Until the full truth comes to light, every time Carly is shown sitting quietly on that bar stool, it won't be just another scene. It will be a reminder of the questions left unanswered. And the audience's growing sense that General Hospital has something to hide. At present, the producers of General Hospital have maintained a steadfast and deafening silence regarding the circumstances surrounding Laura Wright's injury. Despite mounting speculation, growing fan concern, and the widespread circulation of contradictory reports, there has been no official statement, clarification, or acknowledgement from the show's executives or public relations team. This complete lack of transparency has not only fueled rumors but has also deeply disappointed the very audience that has stood by the show through decades of storytelling, cast changes, and evolving television landscapes. For a series like General Hospital, which has thrived for over 60 years in large part due to the unwavering loyalty of its viewers, this silence feels especially jarring. Longtime fans are more than just casual observers, they are deeply invested in the lives of the characters and the actors who portray them. Many have followed Carly's journey since Laura Wright first took on the role, and their emotional connection extends beyond the fictional boundaries of Port Charles. To them, Laura is not just another actress, she is a vital part of their daily ritual, their emotional anchor, and a symbolic constant in a world that continues to shift. That's why the absence of any meaningful communication from GH's production has sparked something far more potent than mere disappointment. It has bred a profound sense of betrayal. Fans aren't just worried about Laura's well-being, they are angry. Angry that they are being kept in the dark. Angry that the show appears to be manipulating the narrative. Angry that what could have been a moment of community concern and support has been reduced to a carefully orchestrated mystery that feels disingenuous at best and evasive at worst. This growing unrest has begun to manifest in very public ways. Across social media platforms, from Twitter to Facebook fan groups, from Reddit threads to soap opera forums, viewers are expressing their dissatisfaction with increasing intensity. At first, the commentary was tentative. Is Laura okay? Why is Carly always sitting? Is it really just a pickleball injury? But those tentative questions have now turned into pointed accusations and open frustration. Posts are now filled with sentiments like, "Why is GH hiding the truth? We deserve to know what happened, and, if something serious happened, they should be honest with us." The anger is no longer isolated. It is evolving into a quiet rebellion, one that threatens to fracture the bond between the show and its most devoted fans. There's a growing perception that General Hospital is prioritizing damage control over honesty, image over empathy, and scripted consistency over genuine human concern. For a show that often deals with themes of truth, family, loyalty, and redemption on screen, its off-screen handling of this situation stands in stark contrast. That contradiction has not gone unnoticed, and the more time passes without a clear response, the more fans begin to lose patience and trust. Worse still, this silence opens the door to damaging speculation. Without facts to ground the narrative, the void is being filled with assumptions, conspiracy theories, and worst-case scenarios. Some believe the injury was far more severe than admitted. Others suspect a backstage altercation is being covered up. Still others worry that Laura may be considering stepping away from the show entirely, and that GH is scrambling to maintain appearances. Whether any of these theories are true or not becomes irrelevant in the face of such silence, because in the absence of communication, rumor becomes reality. The danger now is not just about the current wave of frustration. If General Hospital continues down this path of silence and obfuscation, it risks creating a long-term breach of trust with its core audience. Fans who once defended the show passionately may become its most vocal critics. Viewership could decline not due to lack of content, but because of a perceived lack of respect. After all, how can a show that has always counted on emotional connection and loyalty expect to retain that loyalty when it appears unwilling to reciprocate? The producers must understand that their silence is not neutral, it is a message in itself. And the message fans are receiving right now is, your concern doesn't matter. Your questions don't deserve answers. Your loyalty is not enough to earn our honesty. That message, whether intentional or not, is dangerous. If General Hospital hopes to preserve its legacy and maintain its connection with viewers, it must confront this situation head-on. Transparency, even in the face of discomfort, is always better than a prolonged cover-up. Fans don't demand perfection, they demand truth, empathy, and respect. Without those things, even the strongest institutions can falter. And unless something changes soon, General Hospital may find itself not in the middle of a dramatic on-screen storyline, but at the center of a very real off-screen crisis of trust. The only thing that remains absolutely clear in the midst of the swirling speculation, silence, and confusion is the unified and heartfelt desire of the fans. They want Laura Wright to make a full and genuine recovery, not just for the sake of Carly Spencer, the character she has masterfully embodied for years, but for Laura as a person. Their concern runs deeper than plotlines or production schedules. They are not clamoring for her to return to the screen prematurely or to push through pain for the sake of continuity. What they want, above all else, is her well-being. That's the foundation of their loyalty, not just admiration for her talent, but true human empathy for someone they feel they know after decades of emotional connection. In that same vein, fans are not interested in vague reassurances or generic public relations statements designed to pacify. What they crave is the truth. Not a manufactured version of events. Not a convenient narrative built to minimize controversy, but the real story, whatever it may be. Because what they understand, and what they wish the show's leadership would recognize, is that the truth, even when uncomfortable, always carries more weight and more integrity than a pleasant illusion. It's not just about the injury. It's about being respected as a viewer. As part of a decades-long relationship in which trust has always been the unspoken contract. And that trust is now on the verge of breaking. Perhaps the most concerning possibility, echoed in whispers from backstage sources and echoed across digital fan spaces, is the allegation that Laura Wright's injury may not have been accidental, but rather the result of an internal dispute, possibly involving a physical altercation with another member of the cast or crew. If true, such a scenario would be more than just tragic, it would be scandalous. Not only would it raise serious questions about the safety and professionalism of the General Hospital workplace, but it could also signal a fundamental breakdown in the management culture behind the scenes. If this rumored incident, Laura being pushed or physically endangered during a conflict, turns out to be true and is fully exposed to the public, it could be the tipping point for a much larger reckoning. It would no longer be a matter of one actress's injury or one storyline's interruption. It would call into question the entire culture of how the show is run, how its cast and crew are protected, and whether those in charge have placed optics above ethics. The reputation of General Hospital, carefully cultivated over 6 decades of daytime dominance, could take a blow from which it might never fully recover. What was once seen as a tight-knit, emotionally resonant production could instead be viewed as a fractured environment where transparency and care are sacrificed in the name of control. In this context, the silence becomes something far more dangerous than a PR strategy, it becomes a weapon. A double-edged sword. On one side, silence protects the show from immediate public scrutiny, allowing it to move forward without acknowledging fault. But on the other side, it cuts deeply into the trust of the audience. Every moment that goes by without an honest update, every scene that continues to feature Carly in a visibly constrained, seated position without explanation, serves only to fuel speculation and deepen emotional distance between the production and its viewership. The producers of General Hospital now stand at a critical crossroads. They can choose to continue burying the truth, hoping the storm of questions will pass, that fans will forget or move on. Or they can take the much harder, but ultimately more honorable, route. Face the situation head-on, release an honest and compassionate statement, and reaffirm their commitment to transparency, safety, and respect for both their cast and their fans. Because the audience is watching. Not just passively consuming the storylines on screen, but actively following every beat of the off-screen drama. They are not merely wondering what will happen next in Carly's tumultuous life. They are wondering what will happen next in Laura Wright's real-life journey, and how the institution she has given so much to will respond. Will General Hospital take responsibility? Clarify the rumors, and restore trust through honesty? Or will it allow suspicion to harden into resentment, allowing this moment to forever fracture its relationship with its most dedicated viewers? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, millions of fans are watching. Not just for the twists and turns of Port Charles, but for the outcome of this very real, very human drama unfolding just behind the curtain. How General Hospital handles this situation may not just define its immediate future, it may redefine the legacy it leaves behind.